Hello and welcome to White Glove Reviews. In this video, what I figured I would do is I would share with y'all a new game that I've been playing called Loop Hero. And with Loop Hero, it's kind of a, for lack of a better term, it's sort of a pseudo roguelike game. And as you can see from the screen, what happens is it has a couple of different stages. One, what you're doing is you're building a camp. And as you can see, you build a camp, you can build different buildings. The buildings require different resources like this. And in this case, right here, I have one wood, one rock. I guess that's rock. Preserved rock. So I'm going to build a campfire. When I click on this, it lets me situate a campfire right there. And so I build my starting campfire. Now, the next thing you do is you select Expedition. And with the Expedition, what you have is you can see on the right-hand side, it says Chapter 1, blah, 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 bunch of enemies, bunch of words. If you're like me, you're probably going to gloss over a lot of these things and just start the game. But one thing I do want to point out is if you look over here, what you have is you have this deck of cards that you have. And the deal with the deck of cards is as you go through the loop, what happens is whenever you kill monsters, there's a chance you get a card. And as you can see, you can have like a cemetery, spawns a skeleton every 3 days. Grove spawns a rat wolf every 2 days. The wolf can move to an adjacent tile. You have spider cocoons, vampire mansions, which do various things. Battlefield, road lanterns, decrease the maximum number of monsters on adjacent tiles. And then you have meadows and rocks, and apparently a secret mountain behind the rocks. You have Oblivion, which erases an established tile. You have a beacon, 40% movement speed, 20% attack speed, and then you have the Treasury, which gives you goodies. So let's see, I don't want a beacon, I don't want a road lantern, I just want kind of good stuff. Now, as you can probably see, you can eliminate things, so I'm going to say no vampire mansion, just a battlefield, and if you eliminate too many, as you can see, it'll get sort of fussy with you and tell you you're under the number of cards you can have. So it looks like you have to have a minimum of 2 in each one. So once you do that, you hit confirm, and then you can start your mission. And this is a brand new game, so I'm going to start with the fighter guy, and we're going to go around. Now, again, if you're like me, there's all these words, and I'm just going to skip all the words because, you know, reading instructions is just kind of sometimes too difficult. So if you right-click anywhere on the screen, it'll pause the game, and it switches you to the planning stage. If you right-click again, it starts the adventure and your hero walks around. Now, a couple of things you should be aware of. One, this little meter right here is the day meter. And the day progresses, and as this hits the end, a new day starts. And there's various things tied to, you know, new or old days, or you know, the start of a new day. Now, this controls game speed. You can go double speed, which I've never changed that, or single speed, and maybe there's a reason. Now, this meter down here is map completion. When this bar is filled up, the boss of the campaign of the chapter will show up. So as you get cards, you build out a map, you build out like your terrain, and you can put things around the loop and put things on the loop depending on the card. And this over here is your hit points. In this case, I currently have 250 hit points, and as soon as we start killing monsters, you'll see another bar pop up, which will be your experience bar. And the actual fighting of the monsters is kind of... I don't have an experience bar? Huh. Maybe the experience bar comes later? I kind of don't remember, because like I sort of just started the first time I played this, and I'm starting a new game to show y'all the starting setup and everything. I wonder why I'm not getting the experience yet. Anyway, we'll see. All right, so this thing just popped up. The Gladius is equipment. And as you can see right here, I have 4 slots. Chest armor, shield, ring, and a sword, or weapon. So if you drag it up here, you can see the sword does 4 to 6 damage, and down here your stats reflect this. So my damage is going to be 8 to 12. And you have ring, shield, and armor for this particular hero. Now, the other thing I want to point out is these cards over here that are popping up. So these can be used to build terrain. The mountains, for example, you can place them out here. And when you place a mountain, you can see down here in this area, when you mouse over it, it says it's like a big rock, but really big. And it says +5 hit points for each adjacent rock or mountain. Now, these other two, the battlefield and the grove spawns a rat wolf every 2 days. The rat wolf can move to an adjacent tile. So what you do is you put these on the track to basically give you enemies to fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a good old rat wolf right here, or a grove right here. And so it'll spawn periodically. The other thing is the battlefield. It spawns a chest at the start of each loop. Enemies on adjacent tiles can become ghosts. Now, you definitely want to get these chests because they have better loot. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to position it in a way that it won't generate any ghosts, because I don't want to necessarily have a super hard time my first time through the loop. And so once you position these, you can, right-click and start the fight again. If you click and drag one of the cards, it'll kind of like automatically pause. As you can see, like when I grab the card, it pauses it. So I'm going to build a grove down here. 5% chance of... Okay, now normally you see this area right here, by default, it's a wasteland. It says 5% chance of spawning a slime each day. And so you overwrite these and you get groves. So my hero is going to keep going around like so. Now, there's one thing that I do want to point out. You see this little button down here? It says return to camp. So if you click this, what happens is you can retreat. And as you can see, it says you keep 60% of all resources found if you retreat. So in this case, I'll keep like 1 pebble. If you want, though, what you can do is if you retreat while you're on your campfire, you can take all your stuff. You can basically take all your loot that you've gotten from the loops. And if you want to left click and hold down on this button down here, you see these little gears that pop up. What it'll do is it'll automatically stop at the campfire and give you the option of staying or not staying. Now, so other stuff, more rocks. Again, like when I added this rock, you see I picked up some hit points. And the spider cocoon causes spiders to spawn in an area. And spiders are really good because they're pretty easy to kill and they're not too bad to deal with. So I'm going to put that one over here, and we'll have like as I get more spiders, I'm going to have like a little spider alley over here. Now, the meadow, if you read real quickly, it says heals 2 hit points at the start of each day. Now, one thing that I've noticed that is kind of interesting is a lot of these tiles have, I guess you'd call them undocumented effects. And maybe they're written somewhere in all the words that I skipped, but I skipped a lot of text. So if you put these tiles near things, you may get different results. Like, for example, if you put the meadow out, what happens is you get, it says heals 2 hit points at the start of each day. But if you put a meadow card near another tile that's not a meadow, you get a blooming meadow. And a blooming meadow heals 3. So the other thing is, like, I got some armor here. So when you get items, you can just drag it up here and equip it. And as you can see, my attack speed went up a little bit because this gives +4 attack speed. And my max hit points is now +101 because I'm getting 91 from the armor and I'm getting 10 from these 2 mountains. So we'll go ahead and continue around the circle and fight our way through some slimes. And as you can see, more rocks. Now, one thing that I want to point out about the rocks and mountains in general is if you get a 3x3 block of mountains, it turns into a big mountain. And also, there's a thing, I don't think it says it anywhere, but when you place your 10th rock, you get I think it's a bandit camp or a goblin camp. Anyway, we'll see. But let me show you the difference here with the meadow. When I place a meadow here, you can see I get a blooming meadow, and it says heals 3 hit points at the start of each day. But if I place just a normal meadow beside it, I just get a meadow, and it heals 2 points at the start of each day. So what you want to do is you want to like stagger your meadows. And so let's keep going around the circle and see if more goodies pop up. Oh, I just noticed. See over here, you got a ring. And in this case, the ring gives you +4 attack speed. So if you don't have an item equipped, you might as well go ahead and drag it up and equip it. Also, one thing by default, when you mouse over an item, you notice the combat's paused. And when I mouse off of it, the combat resumes. So I'll equip that for my attack. Now I picked up a shield. More spider cocoon. Put it right there. We'll have all kinds of good, exciting spiders. And I have another mountain. It So I'll throw my mountain out right there. Now, one thing you notice, I mentioned before, the map completion thing, this little bar is filling up. Each time you put a tile on the board, this goes up some amount, and once it gets to the end, the chapter boss shows up. So what you want to do is you want to manage how many tiles you put out and how many times you go around the circle for the purposes of, you know, just resource management versus what all you've done now. Watch when we hit this campfire. All right. So when we hit the campfire, as you can see, I had the thing selected to automatically stop. So if you stop at the campfire, you get to keep all the resources you found, and you can just retreat and keep all your resources. And if you die, you only get to keep 30% of your resources. If you retreat on any other square, you get to keep 60% of your resources. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going through. So I'll basically, now you see right here, this is the chest. And also, you notice the little pause icon, this little, well, there was a little hourglass. If you're by default, if you're mousing over a monster, it also pauses the combat. So, and you can look at the thing and it says like artificial life, liquid, number of hit points, damage, etc. And the chest is just, you know, you're about to beat the crap out of a chest. So we hit the chest, and then we pick up more goodies. All right, now I'm going to pause it so we can do a little allocation of things. So first of all, you see right here, I have a ring that dropped. Now to compare real quick, the defense of the ring is higher because my other ring doesn't have any defense. The attack speed is higher, and it causes me to regenerate 0.6 hit points per second. So I'm going to replace this. Now when you replace an item, the other one that you're replacing disappears. And the same thing with this weapon. So what happens is my old weapon is 4 to 6 damage, the new weapon is 8 to 12, and 2 defense. And defense just knocks basically damage off incoming damage. So when I equip this, if you watch down in the bottom right hand corner, you can see the stats change. So I now do 12 to 18 damage and the other stuff. Now for these things right here, a couple of things that I want to point out. The battlefield, at least for now, you want to position it so you're not going to accidentally have any ghosts pop up, because those are kind of a little inconvenient. Now the treasury is interesting because what happens is the treasury gives you extra resources when you place tiles around it, and when you fully surround a treasury, when you have like tiles around all 8 spots, the treasury gives you like a bonus resources and it gives you cards. So what you want to do is you kind of want to plan your treasuries out. Now another thing you can do if you wanted to, and I'll show you when if I get a second treasury, is, well, see, I picked up some wood when I entered there. Now I picked up a better ring. Now one thing you want to notice, you see in the bottom corner of these items, it says 3, and that's kind of like the level of the item. I'm sure there's a term for it in the game, but there were a lot of words and I didn't read most of them. But if you mouse over it, you can see the defense is 5. You don't necessarily, like, a higher level or a higher numbered item isn't necessarily better for what you want to do. So like this gives me a defense of 5. The other one, my current ring, gives me a defense of 2, but I'm also regenerating and getting attack speed. So it's kind of one of those things you sort of got to weigh, because these are randomly generated items, you aren't necessarily going to have, like for example, here's a good example. This ring lets me regenerate 1.8 hit points per second. Now, if I equip it, I lose the defense and the attack speed, but I pick up 1.2 regeneration. And regeneration seems really good, because as you walk around, you heal up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these out. I'm going to place some more rocks out as soon as this fight's over. And so I'm going to place my rocks. And I got a meadow, which I'm going to, actually, I'll show you the meadow in just a minute. But I'll place some more spiders. I'll place a spider over here. This would be like Spider Alley. All right, so if you look right here, if you want to surround your treasury with basically tiles. But what you can do is if you get a second treasury and you place it right here, you can kind of double up and overlap and get double bonuses from your tiles. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right here beside it, and you see I get some extra resources. and then we'll let things run again. Now, what I'm going to do is, I think in just a minute I'll probably stop this video and we can continue on talking about various goodies in the next video. So let's go through one more cycle, and I'm going to change this so if you remember, if you left click and hold down, you'll turn the little gear things on. And so what I'll do, oh, also one thing I want to point out, when this thing fills up, like when all your items fill up, the ones on the bottom will fall off. And if you're so inclined, you can reorganize them to keep certain ones that you might be interested in. So let me pause it real quick and see, as you add rocks, once you add the 9th rock, you get a big mountain that gives you like extra goodies. And for the meadows, as you surround your treasury, you get extra bonus stuff there. Now, one thing that's an issue is I don't think I'm going to be able to surround this treasury yet. So I guess let's let it keep going and see. We'll let it run for a little bit, and we'll maybe do one more loop and see where we stand. Now, I do want to show you something real quick. If I place my 10th rock, what'll happen is, my 10th rock or mountain, what'll happen is you get a goblin camp. And goblin camps are generally inconvenient. They're often a little tougher than they should be, and I'm not a huge fan of them. But so you get one every 10 rocks or mountains. So once you place number 10, you can place like 9 more and you should be fine. Now, as you can see, I had the option to stop. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through one more loop and see if I can't show you how to finish out the treasury. And then we'll take a look at when we leave and then, you know, further building up our stuff. I'm guessing your first time through the loop, you don't get experience maybe? Like maybe I have to build something? Okay. Because like I said, I played some before in a different game. Like a different, not starting, I kind of just started doing things. So, you know how it is. There's a lot of words. All right. So, one thing is, a lot of times you have, what you should be able to tell here, is you have plain items, and then you have blue items, which are, I guess, a little rarer, and then you have these yellow items, which are even rarer than that, and you have orange items, which are super rare and have a lot of stats. Now, again, these aren't necessarily better, because sometimes you might have a plain item that has a really high thing, like a ring that has 1.8 regeneration, but you have a higher tier item that has less regeneration because the stats are kind of split. So let's take a look at this one. Like, for example, this one gives magic damage 2, defense 2, attack speed, and vampirism. So I'm going to not equip that one, but the shield, it's definitely more defense. You can see, if you look for this shield beside the 11, there's a little arrow, a little up arrow indicating it's better. And then this gives me magic damage and regeneration, so I'm going to definitely equip this one. And for the other ones, I'll just let them run. So for this, again, remember the battlefields give you chests, which are good things, and we very much want chests because they give you goodies. So like in this one, I have if you look at my armor, the max hit points from the armor I'm currently wearing is 91 versus 244, and this gives evasion versus attack speed, so I'm going to go for the extra hit points. And this ring, counter and evasion, I don't know. I'm kind of in favor of keeping my regeneration up as high as possible because I'm not really running into any big issues yet. At least it doesn't seem like it. All right, some more mountains, so I'm going to throw out some rocks. I'll actually throw out some rocks over here so we can see if we can finish this thing out and show you what it looks like when we finish one of those. Worst case scenario, I'll just dump the meadow as a normal meadow and see what happens, because I mean, like, you don't really need it. All right, so another grove. I'll build another grove there just for good measure. And so we're fighting the wolf. And okay, this is one thing I was hoping to get to. The Oblivion card lets you destroy a tile. So what you can do is, like, if like what happened here happens, where say you end up making a goblin cap that you don't want, what you can do is you can use this Oblivion card to just destroy it and get rid of it. It'll also destroy like a specific tile, like you could destroy this tile and whatever's on it. So they're not too bad to have. And anyway, the Oblivion cards, I haven't come up with a good reason why I wouldn't want them in my deck, because they seem useful just to take care of inconvenient things. Cemetery is another tile that you can put out, and in this case spawns a skeleton every 3 days. So let's go ahead and finish out. Oh, actually we have a little ways to go. So before, remember, the thing is, I'm going to make sure to finish out my treasury before we get to camp, and then I'll show you the building, like the building stage, after you finish a map. So one of the good things is spiders seem to be relatively easy to beat. And so, okay, I want to show you what happens when you complete a treasury. So what happens is, when you fully surround a treasury, what happens is you get a bunch of extra goodies. It gives you a couple of cards, and in this case, more spiders, and another mountain. And then the other thing is, usually it gives you some loot. So in this case, like, take a look at this sword. This sword is 10 to 16 damage and 2 magic damage versus my 8 to 12. So this is definitely an increase. And if you watch, if you look at my stats in the bottom right hand corner, it says damage 2 to 12. It says damage 12 to 18, and it goes to 14 to 22. And this particular ring, it says, so I get magic damage, and it costs me regeneration, and I get some vampirism. I think vampirism seems to me like it very much has a place if you're going for serious vampirism, like if you're going, but a lot of times regeneration is, oh, words. The goblins are like, we're goblins. Ooh, look at that, dark slime. I think dark slimes are some kind of rare thing, maybe? I don't know. But as you can see, the goblin's a little bit tougher than normal. And like, okay. It's strange how these creatures appeared on their own. Maybe it means everything is actually not so... Ah, whatever, bunch of words. Anyway. Oh, this right here, this little thing. If you have a completed mountain like this, you can have like gargoyles will periodically come in and land on the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out another treasury. Now, if I hadn't finished my treasury, if I'd say left this bottom row empty, I could have placed this treasury right here and doubled up on the surrounding tiles, but because I didn't, I kind of can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out. I'm going to basically surround it with this stuff and see if maybe I can. Actually, I'm probably not going to pick up any more tiles. So we get here and it stops. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select retreat and keep all my goodies. So I retreat, and then you get to your campsite, and it gives you the option to build stuff. And there's a lot of words that are probably super important. Oh, wow, more words. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build something. So what all can I build? I can build a field kitchen, and I can't build an herbalist hut. So let's see what field kitchen gets me. 10% of the campfires, plus 10% of the campfire's healing potential unlocks Blood Grove card. Okay, fair enough. So the herbalist hut, potion heals 4%. And the smithy lets you start an expedition with basic warrior's gear. Okay, unlocks the ability to craft tools. So this one is kind of good because it starts you with gear. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the field kitchen. And so we stick the field kitchen here. I don't know. There's a bunch more words. And then you go to your expedition. And again, because of the little icon, we have new cards. In this case, we get a Blood Grove. Now, a Blood Grove is pretty neat. What happens is Blood Groves will devour creatures near them. So, like, is there a drawback? Let's see. Can be placed near a forest adjacent to the road. Okay. So, there's a problem, and y'all might have noticed the problem. I don't actually have a forest, so I'm not going to equip that one. So, anyway, what you do is then you just basically you set up your deck again and hit confirm, and you run another expedition. So what I'm going to do is in the next video, I'll run through another loop or two, and I'll show you how to fight the boss. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I hope y'all have an excellent day.